we're going to break down actually a little bit about why Jesus teaches in parables. And then we'll talk about what's going on in chapter 20, because we read parables all throughout the Gospels. You know, there's these stories that Jesus uses to teach folks, but sometimes they can be confusing to you, or you're wondering like, why not just straight up like give them the answer? Like why the stories? So that's what we're going to talk about first.
Why did Jesus teach in parables? I think oftentimes he's using really normal things to teach spiritual realities like dirt and soil, seeds and sunlight, but it's still perplexing and it's confusing to people. And so if you look at it, oftentimes when Jesus is teaching parables, he's doing so in crowds.
Oh yeah, thousands of people or
hundreds of people, tens or 20s. And like just before this, he's teaching the parable of the tenants. The authority of Jesus is questioned. And it seems like Jesus is oftentimes sifting the crowds.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the main reasons that parables are so helpful.
Yeah.
Is because then he would tell the parable to the large body of people. And then as we process this, you'll see that later on, Jesus will come back with a smaller group of people, sometimes just the disciples, sometimes people that want to know, like people that are,
yes,
just kind of continuing to follow Jesus. And then they get to a spot where it's a smaller group of people and Jesus will walk them through
because there's some people who are there like wanting to be entertained. Like, hey, I heard this dude can like make wine. I want to hang out with this dude.
Yes.
Some people have heard him heal people. So like, I want to see it. It's exciting. It's like the talk of the town. And the motive is purely entertainment or purely fascination. No desire of the heart to actually follow him and apply what he says to their life. So I, in my opinion, I think Jesus is sifting the crowds. You got the Pharisees and the Sadducees. You have the people looking for entertainment. And then you have those who are really genuinely wondering, is this guy the Messiah? So I think that's one of the reasons. I think another reason is storytelling is memorable.
Yeah.
Jesus is trying to teach them in ways that they're able to remember, you know, because I think if we talk to you listening right now and I gave you a quiz and said, I want you to lay out the Apostle Paul's teaching and theology versus the parables of Jesus and the stories of Jesus, I would guess the stories in the parables of Jesus would be much longer than the other aspects of theology and justification, sanctification from Paul. Not because one's necessarily better than the other, but because one is more memorable and you have images. I can picture a seed. I can picture sunlight. I can picture a vine. I can picture fruit. I can picture an axe at a tree. Like there are all these different things you can go through and go, oh, yeah. And so I think maybe that's why Jesus used it. Sifting the crowds. And
well, even today, like when within academia and education, we know that it is proven that you remember things better when they're to a tune or when they're wrapped in a story.
Yeah.
And so, you know, from kids to adults to elderly folks, like Grandpa Corville will say that often, that, you know, he's 90 years old. He has, you know, he's been in ministry for 50 of those years, 60 of more than that.
70, since he was 20. 70 years.
And so, you know, that's a lot of Bible reading time. But the verses that he remembers the most and that he just has like pop up in his head throughout the day are verses that he was sung to or given as a child through story form. And so that's another huge reason is because even the Bible, like the Torah at the time when Jesus was talking to folks, they memorized things and had the Psalms and things in their hearts and in their minds because they were given via their parents, their community, via story.
And I will add, of all my seminary classes, the classes I dreaded the most were the languages by far. Like I was like, I do not want to take Greek. I do not want to take Hebrew. Yeah. When it was all said and done, Hebrew was my favorite class. Greek was good too, but the teacher made it fun. And what they did was they set the Hebrew classroom up like a nursery or a preschool. There was no English words in the room.
I don't remember.
It was stuffed animals. It was action figures. It was blocks and Legos, water tables, and it was all labeled with these laminated cards in Hebrew words.
I need to go to seminary then.
It was cool, but we sang the whole day. We played games the whole day.
Right. I
we
like
rolled this ball and sang these psalms in Hebrew. Yeah, did the Shema, Adonai Israel, and it was incredible. And I have some of it, not as much as I should memorize still, but because it was sung.
Yep.
And that's what Jesus is getting at here.
That's a huge reason. Yeah.
Parables and storytelling. Yeah. So let's back it up to verse 1.
Okay.
And Jesus is being questioned here, which is funny because we know him to be God, But at the time, there are these people going like, who's this guy think he is?
Yeah.
Telling parables, healing on the Sabbath, hanging with these riffraff crowds. But these people are questioning Jesus, and they're literally asking him, verse 2, tell us by what authority you are doing these things, and who gave you this authority?
Yeah.
And the reason why they're asking that is because Jesus was technically a rabbi,
Right.
and rabbis trained under other rabbis and other spiritual teachers. And so different classes of the Pharisees and Sadducees in the sects, there was different levels. And some people were deemed to have authority and some did not, based upon how much of the Torah they had memorized, how much schooling they had. And so Jesus is not only teaching well, but he's having powerful miracles. And so these people are looking at this guy going, wait a second, where did this dude came from? He came from the sticks of Nazareth.
Right.
He's a woodworker?
Yeah.
How does he have authority? It's crazy.
Yes.
And yeah, they want to know why and how are you doing this? And so, yeah.
Well, we see this depicted really well, you guys.
This TV show, you probably never heard of it, but it's called
The Chosen.
The Chosen. And you should watch it. I know you never heard us talk about it.
Some of the scriptures just come alive.
Season 2 comes out in 5-6 days, April 4.
It does?
On Easter. The
Oh, my
first
goodness.
episode of
Yes.
season 2 comes out on
Yes.
Easter. So that means you need to watch 8 episodes
Yeah.
of season 1
Yes.
to get ready for season 2.
Do it. Do it, you
That'd be
guys.
worth your
I'm going
time.
to do it anyway just to gear up for season 2.
Anyways, there's
Yeah.
this guy in the show I just could slap. His name's Shmuel. He's annoying. He the way he carries himself, you're just like, this guy needs to get smacked. He's annoying, and because he's a Pharisee who's always questioning everybody else's authority.
Yes.
Who gave you that authority? What page did you memorize that on? Well, you're just like, this guy's
So he's studying in the show. He studies under Nicodemus. He's a great teacher, and then Nicodemus is, we know from the Bible, he's one of them that is actually really sifting. Like, who is Jesus?
Yeah, he's intrigued.
Who is this guy? Where is the power coming from?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that's amazing is they're questioning this because it's happening. Like, they're seeing miracles. People are being healed. They're so right in front of them.
Yeah.
It's happening, but really it's been happening way before this. So Jesus, we know this now because we have the Gospels and we know who Jesus was and what he came to do. But even as a baby, Jesus, we
Spirit
know
was with him, yeah.
the Spirit was with him, and he had that moment where with John the Baptist in utero, and then we see Jesus teaching as an 8-year-old. His parents lose him, and he's in the temple, and he's literally teaching
setting
the teachers
adults straight. Yeah.
Yes, and so that's another spot where we see Jesus having this authority, this power, and then as he gets older, we see
Well, even
what?
a couple weeks ago, we read in Luke.
Yeah.
When he sends out the 12 and he sends out Luke 8, Luke 9, then he sends out the 72. But it says, and he gave them his authority.
Yes.
And he gave them his power to go and cure diseases, kick out demons, and most importantly, tell everybody about the kingdom of God and about who Jesus is. And so I guess I think about that. He does that throughout the Gospels, but then in the Great Commission, Matthew 28:16 through 20, let me read it to you.
Please.
He passes it off to the church.
Yeah.
It says, then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. And when they saw him, they worshiped him. Some still doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, all authority again in heaven and on earth has been given to me. It's God's authority. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. And so I want to connect this to you and me and to you listening, is just as Jesus gave the authority and the power and the commissioning to the 12 and to the 72, so he sends the church now to continue his mission. And I think all too often the focus, when it's abused, is abused on, it becomes a show, and look at my power, look at my ability, look at my charisma or whatever, or the opposite side of it, and it's going, I'm unable, I can't do it.
I can't do this.
And that's actually true.
Yep.
But the focus should be on God.
Yep.
Who he is, where the Spirit's working, what the Spirit might be doing in a situation.
Yeah.
And so when we go and put hands and pray, or we're interceding for someone, it actually has nothing to do with us, other than us being obedient to what he's called us to do. Saying, okay, it's not my authority, it's not my power, but I'm going in the name representing God himself.
Yep.
And I want to tell you about who Jesus Christ is and what he can do for you. So I guess a little question or something we can ponder today when it comes to the authority and all these parables Jesus is teaching in is, what's our mindset?
Yeah.
When we interact with our family, with a neighbor, with somebody at work, for you listening, what's your mindset? Are you focused on maybe, hey, I have a chance to look cool? Or are you focused on, I'm nervous, I'm not able? Mm-hmm. Focus on the Lord.
Yeah.
And say, God, I'm willing to step into whatever it is you're doing. If I feel the Spirit nudging my heart to pray for somebody, maybe they got a broken leg, they have cancer, I don't know. Mm-hmm. We can intercede and say, God, would your healing touch come upon these people?
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And just let God do his job.
Yeah.
The
rest is up to him. Yeah.
It's up to him. But that's kind of where I went with the authority here at the end. So
awesome.
That's all I got.
That's good.
Anything else you want to add?
No, you guys, read chapter 20. You're going to be so blessed.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his countenance toward you and give you his peace. Have a great day.